Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Random Heathen Ramblings podcast, where we discuss all sorts of things Germanic heathenry related. My name is Jesse, and I am your host. Let's get into it.
The RHR workshop is dedicated to the old ways, offering a wide selection of animist ritual supplies, divination tools, altar goods, and home decor, including premium reindeer hides imported from traditional herders in northern Finland. Whether you're just starting your spiritual journey or looking to expand your collection with a custom drum, we have everything you need. Visit our online store at thealvatir.com and discover the beauty of mountain spirit.
All right, everybody. We're finally live on all destinations. We had a little bit of a technical hiccup reaching the Facebook platform, but as I can see, Adam Cage is checking in. Bro, I am here. Yes, sir, you are, bro. And I am here too, but I am not the here where you are. I am at the here where I am. So I am, in your case, I am there according to you, and you are there according to me, but I am here according to me, and you are here according to you, if that makes any sense. So hail and welcome to the show, everybody. This is monthly live stream. We've also got Michael Thacker checking in on YouTube just in time, but a thunderstorm may take you out. I know it's been storming on a lot of places. There's all kinds of rain and storms in the forecast here in Middle Tennessee, at least, and I'm sure other places. I was looking out east towards the Blue Ridge Mountains, and there's all kinds of weather things. What's up, Christopher Miller on Facebook? His hail and howdy. Yes, sir. And also the regular David Clan checking in. Hello, David. Good to see you again, too. So good to see everybody. Good to hear from everybody. This is our monthly live stream, which ultimately becomes the podcast for the next week or the next, go around. But we're here live today. Hello there, Chrissy. Hello from the UK. Awesome. Very cool. That's great. I'm glad we got some folks internationally being represented here. So these live streams are, in case you're new here or you're not commenting, these are monthly sorts of things. They usually happen on Mondays, or at least they have in the past, but I've noticed that Monday nights just tend to be kind of a wash for most of the audience. We don't really get a lot of engagement this late on a Monday night, but it is a Friday night, and a lot of people, I think, have, at least here domestically in the US, they have most Friday nights are off. They don't have to go to work the next day, or if they do, it's kind of a late start. But for you, Chrissy, in the UK, it's you're up early, or you're still up. I'm not sure what the comment is there, Chrissy, but I'm thinking that if you did send us, stars in your support of this show, I'm not really sure because the comment's not showing up on screen. But if you did donate or send anything that way, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here, and appreciate everybody else being here, ladies and gentlemen. This is a pretty, just want to say, very exciting time for the Midgard Musings social media sites, especially Facebook, because this time last week, I think we've gained approximately, and I can't say for sure, I have to go back and look at the stats, but I want to say that we've gained somewhere upwards of 10,000 new followers this week over here on Facebook. So if you're new here on Facebook and you're watching, these are monthly things. Don't want to neglect everybody that's watching on YouTube too, but you guys are awesome. Thank you all for being here. What do we got there, Chrissy? 2:10 a.m. Yeah. Here in England. So it's dark. Is it rainy? Is it cool? Is it warm? I know over here this time of year, at least in this part of the country where I live, it gets dark. It doesn't get really cool at night. It just stays muggy and hot, and it's very yucky. I don't like it. Michael's days off are midweek on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Yeah, we're all doing our own thing, but I do appreciate all of you coming here and listen to what we ramble on here about tonight. Who we at here on Facebook as well? Renita Moore, hello there from Texas. Very cool. I know some people, good people, out in East Texas in the Tyler area, also up in the Arklatex region of the country there, so that sort of tri-state area. Really good heathens out there. But we are going to be just rambling on for the next however long. Again, it's a Friday night. I got nothing else to do. And I'm here to take your questions or, listen to your thoughts, see what you got on your mind. But before we get into it, because this is a podcast production, just for everybody that catches this much later on, this podcast is available in video format normally, when we're not doing live streams. It is available on Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com, as you can see scrolling along the bottom there, /Midgard Musings, patreon.com /Midgard Musings. When you join at the Carl tier, okay, you can follow my public posts. There's sometimes that I'm releasing things that are public, which is just free, or you can just follow me over there for free. But if you want to help support the production of this show, by joining at the Carl tier, it is a $1 pledge. So whatever the exchange rate is, wherever you are, I don't know what the pound to dollar ratio is, but it's probably, a few extra cents, give or take. But you get video access to the show. Plus, you get a end screen mention of your name in the credits as a supporter at whatever tier that you join at. So just that $1 pledge gets you access to all the video shows, and it's a monthly recurring fee. You don't have to if you don't want to. And I do offer other levels or tiers of support. But the $1 pledge, it's great. It's it helps. Even though it doesn't sound like a lot, it does help a lot with just covering certain production costs. So check it out, patreon.com/MidgardMusings. Adam says, neither do I about the weather here. Yeah, it is. He's Adam's close to me, about an hour and a half away, a little bit closer to the Kentucky area. But it's not, it's north of me, but it isn't like the north. It's we're still in the south here, man. But anyways, if you don't want to join me on Patreon and pay the dollar to watch the podcast, that's totally fine. You can still listen for free anywhere that you stream podcasts. So, places like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or like iHeartRadio or any of the other like major platform streaming sites. Just listen if you want to listen. Take me with you wherever you go, here, there, and abroad. And yeah, it's great. Just your listenership, your viewership is great. But these things, these live streams, this is my once a month opportunity to engage with all of you and to listen to your thoughts and to hear your minds. And share a bit about what you might be going through or what's going on, any questions that you may have, and I'll do my best to answer them. But one thing that I do want to mention, just as a quick mention, in addition to all of the other things, so I'm on here, YouTube and Facebook. Of course, follow me there. I'm also on Instagram. If you go to my bio section or my about section, there's a link tree, and it's a one-stop shop. It's kind of like my one-stop destination for everything. So I have a merchandise store you can find a link to there. You can find all my social medias, the podcast, the website. I have a blog website, randomheathenramblings.com. And now for this duration, I have another thing up, which is not for the podcast. It's not for me directly. It's actually for a member of my family. And I'm going to tell you all a little bit about that right now before we get into the meat and potatoes of this stream and of the show in general. So I want to talk a little bit about my mother-in-law and some of the things that she has going on, and I'm going to be talking about a GoFundMe campaign that we have up for her. Some of you that are watching this know about this already and have donated to the GoFundMe, so thank you very much for that, for those of you who do know. But just really quickly, my mother-in-law, she's 84 years old, and she'll be turning 85 at the end of the year, and she's just going through that stage of life where it's tough to get around. And it's quite dangerous for her to get around, even with the assistance of a walker. She's very uneasy on her feet. She's had a few very recent episodes where she's falling or has the propensity to fall. And the family collectively, my wife's side of the family, is wanting to get some upgrades, some medical equipment upgrades in their house, which is a trailer just a few doors down from where I live. It's very nice, very cozy, but it has stairs that go up into it. You know what I mean? And using stairs with a walker at her age is very precarious. It's a risk every single time she goes up or down them. So one of the big upgrades that we're looking to do is get a ramp built, a long ramp with a gradual incline, right? So she's not fighting gravity too badly to get up there. And we're also looking to get a Hoyer lift. So when and as she does have falling episodes, she, her husband, my father-in-law, can, in case none of us are around, if we happen to be, shopping or out of town or out of our immediate area, to run down a few doors and help her up. The Hoyer lift is a medical piece of equipment that can assist with her getting up safely. That my father-in-law can use. And then lastly, a sit-to-stand medical chair with like a remote control that can ease her up from a sitting position without her having to strain and push and again, fight gravity. So all of these things, as you can imagine, are quite an expense. And the main thing is to get her set up with all of these things so that way she's safe and her quality of life is easy as possible. So we're working very hard to get all these things in place, but to try and help recuperate the financial expenses of it all, we've set up a GoFundMe. And that GoFundMe, if you go to my Linktree link that I just talked about in my bio or in my about section or wherever you find it, It is the first thing that's at the top of that link tree. Also, in addition to that, I will post it in the comments anywhere that you're watching this. So if you're, watching on YouTube or on Facebook, that link is just posted now. So obviously, any donations amount are helpful. You're under no obligation to obviously do that, but if at the very least you can maybe share it, that would be great. So again, you could either click on the link now, or you can just go to my Linktree link later and share it around. So any help with that is greatly appreciated. And I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about as far as housekeeping type things. So now that we're streaming live, I'm just going to get into something that's kind of fresh on my mind, and then I'll happily take questions and answer them to the best of my ability if you have them. So just fire away in the comments. But one of the things, that I recently had in my mind, I just got back earlier today, rather. Tonight, because it was after work and it was this evening. So, earlier before the live stream. We'll put it that way. I went to have dinner with a friend of mine, Adam. I went to have dinner with Greg. So Adam knows who Greg is. He's a good friend of both of ours. He's actually the chieftain of the Raven Moon Hearth kindred here in Tennessee. And they have a couple of big events coming up here very soon. One of which is just less than, I think, about a week and a half away, up in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. It is their annual event called Sunablot, and it usually coincides with the, summer solstice time frame. So usually at or around the summer solstice, one of those weekends nearabouts, the Hearth organizes and hosts a public event. Complete with, games, workshops, vendors, and a ritual. And Sunablot is one of their annual public events. So Adam's been working very closely, and because Adam is a member of Raven Moon Hearth, so he knows who Greg is, their chieftain. But anyways, Adam is working very hard to help with some construction and modifications to the property where Sunablot is going to be held. So if you go on, it's I know a lot of you are maybe watching this on YouTube, don't use the Facebook platform or whatever, but that's where they have the event. So if you search for Raven Moon Hearth, I think their Facebook page says Friends of Raven Moon Hearth. But if you can go to their events, you'll find Sunablot. And then again, they also have one public event that they host, same place, which they'll be hosting later in the fall, called Shadowmoot. And that's that event usually coincides with the Heathen Winter Nights celebration. So again, check them out. But anyways, my point was that as Adam saying is spitting a whole hog. So they're cooking a whole hog on a spit for this year, which is a new thing. That this hearth has never done before, to my knowledge, at least not so long as I've known them. So that's quite a big undertaking, and that obviously is going to require some care and attention to preparing it and to feeding the people that are attending there. But again, public event. You don't have to be heathen or even a member of the hearth to attend this. There's ticket fees or whatever to show up there. It all goes towards the hearth and the expenses that they incur for hosting this sort of thing. And yeah, right, Adam. I mean, Shadowmoot is probably one of my favorite events that the hearth holds. I've been to my knowledge, the hearth has 3 events that they host publicly. They have the Feast of the Fallen event in the early spring, and then they have Sunablot around summer solstice, and Shadowmoot in the fall. Out of all 3 of those events that the Hearth has hosted over the last plus decade or so, I think, Shadowmoot's probably my favorite. It's the time of year that is one of my favorites. It's again, winter nights in the Germanic or Scandinavian pre-Christian heathen customs is the start of winter, or the beginning of winter, and it's cooler. much nicer for rugged camping and all that stuff. Hey there, Christy Hansen, who says, sounds great. It is. It is absolutely great. I know people who have traveled from all over the country. Because again, this is held. It has historically been held in Tennessee, just outside of Nashville in the Springfield area. Excuse me. But that has changed, and now they are going to be hosting their events. It looks like, at least for the foreseeable future, or maybe indefinitely, I don't know, up in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Roasted pig is delicious. I've had. I mean, I can't say for sure if I've ever had a hog roasted in the ground, the way they cook it in the ground or on a spit. But I've definitely. I mean, I've cooked wild boar on a grill. I've had wild game cooked over an open fire. There's something about game meat, or livestock, but there's something about the flavor of it when it's cooked over an open fire. It's that primal flavor, that the taste of the smoke and everything. It's like you almost don't even need to season it much with anything. So, except for the wood that you're cooking it. So, anyways, the reason why I brought Greg up, that kind of went off a little bit on a tangent there. But the reason why I brought Greg up was to David Clint. Sorry, I want to just read this there. David on Facebook says that his kindred has ritual, and my kindred has weekend. His kindred has ritual those weekends. Maybe someday. Yeah, I get it. Especially for a lot of pagans and heathens. The summer solstice time of the year generates a lot of hubbub, I guess you could say. A lot of pagans and stuff are doing things with their people in and around that time of year. So just for people's awareness, if you're looking for something to do, and you want to connect with other pagans and heathens in the area, that's one thing that is, again, open to the public. So, but anyways, why was I talking with Greg? Why did I have dinner with Greg? Well, I mean, he's my friend. He's a brother to me. We are oathed as brothers to one another, even though I'm not oathed to the tribe of Raven Moonhearth. I did enter into like an oath web with him at a Hearth event years ago. So we stay in touch. We obviously we talk almost every day in some form or fashion, even if it's just random messages back and forth, memes, giving each other giving each other shit, whatever, like brothers do. But anyways, it was nice to have that conversation. It was nice to have that time with him today, because and it made me think about, because this is one of the things that we talked about, was how we interact with not just people and how we keep up relationships with people, but how we interact and keep up relationships with the divine. And I was talking to him about this. We were sharing this thought together about how when you go to ritual, however you label it, whether it's a traditional heathen bloat, or whether it's just a group gathered to give offerings to the gods, or to the spirits of the land, or to ancestors, whatever you want to label it as, or however you want to frame around it, right? There's a difference between the ritual, right, what we call bloat in heathenry, versus just a non-structured offering, and one of the things, like we were talking about, is what some of the similarities and differences of those two things are, and how ritual has to have a structure to it. There is things in place, there is precedence, there are ways of going about doing it that make it ritual. And why is that? And it is because it needs to have that structure, so that way when the people are coming to this, they are able to put themselves in that frame of mind, and prepare for entering sacred space. You are becoming part of something that is outside of the profane space and time that we live in, and that we exist in regularly. So this is not just let's go hang out and hail the gods and whatever. No, this is we are going into a place outside of a place. We are experiencing time outside of time, and the ritual, it sets that. It is structured in that sort of way. And And we got to talking about how some people, or how we've noticed, how some people don't seem to understand or appreciate or approach ritual with that understanding, with that mindset, and it's evident when they don't get anything out of it. They don't get anything out of the ritual. It's like they're showing up and they're being cavalier, or they're being casual, or they're not, giving it the due benevolence or the due piety, to the gods, as is deserved. And then they leave and it was nice. I just really didn't feel anything. I wonder why. I wonder maybe if you'd put more focus and attention to dressing a little bit better, or putting yourself in a mindset of, I am going to now be in a space with divinity, with our holy powers. I use the thing to say dress better, because we've all seen rituals where people come, and it's almost like they left their job and they just came to ritual and they didn't care to take off their dirty shirt, put on a clean pair of pants, make themselves presentable, And granted, this isn't, the same as exactly, like what you may want to compare as like your Sunday best if you were going to church, or people that go to church. But even so, I do think that there is enough of an understanding that even among the pre-Christian Germanic peoples and pagans that were, that predate Christianity, and then the formalities of the church, and then this and then that there was still they were very much aware of where they were when they were in their sacred groves. It was sanctified, it was holy, it was separate from the profane, from the mundane. And they're even, I think Tacitus even documents, it was either Tacitus or Adam of Bremen, pretty sure it was Tacitus, who says, that there was precedence. There was they would approach things in a certain way. If somebody fell, they were not to be picked up. There were certain things about their how they behaved and how they interacted within their sacred groves that separated it from outside of it. So it was something that we were talking about, and I thought, man, what a great thing to be reminded of. I'm going to get caught up on some of the comments, and then I'll pick it up here. Let's see. Christy is half Puerto Rican, and we do stuff like that all the time. Yeah, the Hispanic community really knows how to get down with when it comes to cooking. Michael Thacker may try to go to Hopkinsville for the event. Well, cool, man. Yeah, if you're, like I said, I don't know if you're on Facebook or not, but the event. Oh, you're on Facebook. Never mind. Sorry. I'm used to seeing you over on YouTube. But anyways, yeah, just go search for Cinebloat or Friends of Raven Moonhearth, and you'll see all the details and everything that you need to know. Christy's so half Puerto Rican, the other half is Swedish and Norwegian. So yeah, you're half north, half south, almost as far apart as you can possibly be. Let's go, John Deason. What's up, man? Hope you're still here watching. I just not caught up to the comment. What's up, my man? Good to see you here, and looking forward to actually seeing you in person tomorrow. We got a little shindig going on over here at Hegrehus, the Heron's Roost, as it were, tomorrow with some men of the community, including Greg, and John too, I believe. Christy says they don't take it seriously enough. I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to lump everybody in, but I've noticed it. I've noticed people who don't seem to take it seriously, or they show up to ritual blitzed off their butts. Man, they're drunk, they're high, or a combination of both. And listen, I'm not trying to be a stick in the mud or whatever. But because I've been respectful to the ritual and to the ceremony, but I've leveraged certain substances to enhance the ritual experience, to maybe get myself in an altered state of consciousness. Nothing unhealthy, but that can really open up some doors, man. That can really set the tone. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people that have just been drinking all day, or doing whatever all day, and then they show up to ritual, and it's obvious they're inebriated. It's disrespectful. Yeah, always go to the ritual clean. I like that, Christy. Thank you for saying that. Michael got lonely on YouTube. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell who's watching. I know we've got 11 live viewers. which for 33,000 Facebook followers and 6,500, YouTube. I've advertised this thing here. I did it on a Friday because I knew, it was better for the engagement. But this just goes to show you, we're at the whims of the algorithms. I'm excited for tomorrow too, John. I'm super stoked to see people and yeah, definitely hang out and just sharing some. I got some some chicken and some sausages and some good meats that we're gonna be cracking on with. That's a term that I haven't heard a lot of. I don't hear it over here, but I used to talk to a guy years ago at my job, who is who's British. He lives in England. He works in London, and we used to have like weekly meetings with this guy and his team. And so, like, when the meeting would start, we'd all be, just small talk. You know what I mean? And then when because it was his meeting or whatever, he'd be like, "All right, then let's crack on, shall we?" And I'm like, "God, I love it, man. I want to talk like I want to use terms like crack on and shall we, and and this and that. I think it's great." So yeah, we're gonna crack on some of them and them bangers. And I think what they call sausages over in the UK, bangers and mash. All right. Anyway, Michael, what we got? What was the hardest? So Michael's got a comment or a question. He says, "What was the hardest things to adjust to when you started in heathenry?" Asking mostly because I'm still having trouble after these years. I'd be curious to know, Michael, like, what are you having challenges with, or what do you find, as you say, having trouble with? I think for me, because I came into heathenry with very limited knowledge about it. I didn't know that this was that this was an actual religion or a folkway or a spirituality or a belief system that exists, and that existed among people. And so I guess when I came into heathenry, one of the challenges that I had, or I guess one of the hardest things to adjust to, was the worldview of heathenry. And it's not to say that there's a universal thing that every heathen does everything the exact same way. For example, there's plenty of heathens that choose to not adopt a historically accurate approach to when they celebrate certain things. Some heathens like to follow a Wiccan Wheel of the Year model of heathenry, where they, observe Wiccan Sabbats instead of the historical pre-Christian heathen holy tides of Germanic people. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about realizing that the gods they didn't act in the same agency as the Christian God, as what I was raised in to believe. So there's all of that, dogmatic stuff that was difficult for me or challenging for me to I guess unlearn and reprogram myself, if that's the right way to put it. Learning and practicing and stuff is what helped with that. But I was willing, I was willing to take the challenge on, head on, and get through it, I guess. And, the other thing that was probably hard for me was because I was dedicated in that endeavor to learn and to adopt this way of a belief. Probably the hardest thing when I first got into it was knowing that I was going to be ostracized and excommunicated by my family. My mom, my dad, my sister, my uncles, and everybody that I grew up around and all my life. Because, again, I grew up with this feeling like, oh, I don't want to let them down. I don't want to disappoint them. And I had already up to that point been, had made, life decisions, moving away from New York and having a life in Tennessee and all of the things that they didn't approve of. I was already living with that sort sense of guilt. Like I let somebody down. I let the people I loved down. I didn't live up to their expectations of what they thought I should be. Um, so, as a baby heathen, when you're getting into those things and you don't have the support of your family, you're trying to find your way. That's tough. So I would probably say that was the hardest thing that I had to face when starting in heathenry, and you say hardest thing to adjust to. Um, yeah, I think that was the hardest thing for me to adjust to. Um, Thank you for the question. Irish guacamole, says John. Yeah, mashed potatoes. Yeah, they call it Irish guacamole. Man, you ain't lying, man. You ain't lying. You almost can't go wrong with some good old mashed taters. Christopher Miller says that speaking of the heron's roost, how did you go about connecting with your philia? Did it reveal itself gradually, or was it a sudden revelation? Great question, Christopher. So for those of you that maybe don't know or new to this, I said earlier on the show or the stream there, I said men coming over to Hegrihus, which is just the house of the heron. So like Ulfarhus you might see or hear, or Hravenhus, Raven House and Wolf House, and Bjarnhus or whatever. The Hus part is house, and Hegri is the Norse word for heron. So Hegrihus is the heron's house, or the heron's roost, as I say, because that's what herons do. They roost in trees. So he's asking, how did I go about connecting with my philia? So the philia is, again, a Norse term, an Old Norse part of the complex of the self, right? It's part of our soul complex in the Norse belief that reflects an animal many times, or it is an animal entity or an animal spirit, part of our self. But philia is the word that means basically follower. So the philia follows you. It goes ahead of you. It is said, I think, in the stories that if you see your philia in a dream, it's kind of like a bad omen. Or if you see the philia real life, it's a bad omen. But I use the term philia because, again, it relates to the Norse heathen or the Germanic heathen. I say Norse, but I mean I don't know of any, I don't think I have any Scandinavian, Norwegian or Icelandic or Swedish ancestry. I am Germanic. Most of my ancestry that I know on the Germanic side of things are on the continent. So, but it speaks to me and it relates to me. So anyway, how did I go about connecting with my philia, and did it reveal itself gradually? It's hard for me to place really like an exact moment in time when this happened. But I live geographically near a river. My house is positioned several hundred yards away from the Stones River in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. The Stones River battlefield is down the road from me. It's a very infamous area for U.S. American, Civil War history. And so living on a river or living near the river, you see all kinds of animals and fowl, and herons are water fowl. They live near and around water. But I noticed that I was finding my way through my heathenry to be leaning into the animistic side of things, really connecting with spirit in the land, really finding my place in and feeling at home at the river. So I would go in the river to walk, or I would sit on the river banks and I would drum, or I would burn incense or meditate, or I would just find myself at peace, connecting in the river. And the more I was doing that, the more I was seeing the heron appear. And it would appear in ways that were what I felt like, to me in the moment, were acknowledgments. It was an encounter that I was having with this spirit that was acknowledging my presence in its space. And as I learned more and as I became more aware of this animism, it became apparent that not only was the heron connected to me there at the river, or I would be connected with it, but that it would go with me. I would go places, and it would, or other people even would that I wasn't with would see it. I would be talking with them, and they would have an encounter with a heron, and there was a lot of, you could say, unexplainable uh, such encounters. So I think it was like I didn't have. I guess I can say that I didn't have like a profound dream or vision or anything that said, a heron came to me and was like, "I am your Philia now." Uh, you know, Luke, I am your Philia. No, it wasn't anything quite like that. It wasn't a kind of epiphany moment. It was gradual, but it was very clear to me that I I am the heron that flies to hell. It was a name that was given to me by a very near and dear brother to me. Um, and that name was given to me some years ago after discovering the connection with the heron. And as a person of American um, lineage, obviously I was born here. Most of my immediate ancestors are from here. I think some of my great great grandparents on my mother's side, great 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 grandparents, came from Europe. But most of the people on my dad's side of the family, on the Stillwagon side, we've been in this country. Um, I can document myself back to like the 1600s. My family, I mean, I can document many of the family line back to the 1600s. One of which connections I can 100% for sure say I have is through marriage and through so not like birth per se, but I have marital um, ancestry that goes back to Pocahontas, the Pocahontas. I can prove it. I have the papers that show it. My dad's side of the family is has one of his cousins was a genealogist with the Daughters of the American Revolution years and years ago. Lots and lots of time and energy have been spent to trace our sides of the family back that far. So the reason I say that is because even though it's way way back, and I mean, listen, I'm not delusional. I'm not trying to say like just because I have 1/3000th of a percent of Powhatan, and I'm blanking on the rest of it, but it's all that side of the Native American East Coast tribes. They were very close to the marshes and the inland waterways. So the heron was an important part of the culture there too. And so anyway, knowing that and finding connection with that spirit is what really set it in for me. There was no question to me. And I've grown with the heron, and the heron has grown with me, and together we have shared many meaningful things. So it's a great story I could tell. I have a saga out that, matter of fact, a couple episodes ago, I read the saga of the heron that flies to hell on the podcast. So if you all are interested and you want to listen to it, you can find it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever else you stream your podcasts, or you can watch it on Patreon when you join at the Carl tier. So thank you, Chris, for that question. Let's see. Oh, Crushing Nihilism on YouTube. Hey, we got another YouTuber on here. What's up, man? Going back to Dippy Soldiers. Oh, we're talking about food again. Yeah, sorry. I'm catching up to comments again. Sorry, y'all. They call them Dippy Soldiers. What are some other crazy things that British people say when it comes to food? Like, or when you're drunk, like, I'm knackered. Or what is it? Knackered? I know knickers. Those are pants. Nick. I'm not going to say it again. I'm going to be canceled if I do. Anyway, what we got? Michael Thacker says, just getting in the mindset and grounded lately. So the challenges that you're facing, getting in the mindset. Maybe with your next comment here. Let's see. So lately, I feel as though nothing has been going correctly. That, or it's the 60 to 80 hour work weeks. And I know there's some other people commenting probably in response to this. John says, I've been there. It's the constant grind that wears on us. Make time for yourself and take the time to reconnect with yourself. This is great advice. But yeah, Michael, to your last statement there where you said, I feel as though nothing has been going correctly. That's probably a relative term to you, because what is going correctly for you may not have any meaning to me, or to anybody else. So correctly is a relative term for you, and if you feel that you're kind of, again, um, not able to connect, and 60-80 hour work weeks, dude, that is a hustle. I'm not saying that, take a break. I mean, I'm saying take a break. Like, I don't know, like, that's brutal. That's not sustainable. I mean, this is it's the world we live in is built around the grind. You know what I mean? Like, everything, I grind too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'm hustling, um, in different ways, but ways that really wear on my mind. Um, and it's every situation's unique. Every situation's different. But you have to take time for yourself. You have to take care of yourself. I've noticed that people that don't, when they are feeling disconnected, that's the reason. It's the biggest reason why they don't feel connected to their spirituality, to their religion, to their life, whatever. They feel like everything's against them, or it's not going correctly, or things aren't going well. It's because there's neglect present. You're so focused on the work, 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 work. You're putting out so much, and you're not feeding back in to take care of that ability to work so hard. So yeah, I would say I would kind of echo what John says is take time, make time. Don't just make it. I mean, whatever, just make time for yourself. Um, it can be touch skin to grass. Put your bare skin, put your bare feet, put your hands, lay down, right? But just connect, be on the ground, and just pause, just stop, and just let yourself be present with yourself without anything else going on. And just, because once your mind quiets down, and once you have nothing else to worry about, then you can think clearly about how to approach it going forward. But you have to start with that first step, right? You have to make time for yourself. So I do hope that helps, and I hope that you are, hope you're okay, man. Thank you for opening up. Christopher says that they call sprinkles hundreds and thousands. That's just that's okay. I mean, that's literal, but like, what's up with that? Oh yeah, give me a bowl of vanilla ice cream with hundreds and thousands on it. Hundreds and thousands of what? Suggestions, thoughts, ideas. Like, what do you want hundreds and thousands of? Could be. that's funny. Crushing nihilism, and thank you everybody for being here on this Friday night live stream. For those folks that listen later on, again, these are monthly things, so just follow me on social media to know where and when these are happening. That they're always usually streamed to Facebook and YouTube simultaneously. It's just a matter of when, what day of the week, and then all that. So thank you all for being here. Crushing Nihilism on YouTube says that my biggest challenge as a heathen has been the quote-unquote Orthodox heathen community. And to them, Crushing Nihilism is a heretical boy. Yeah, and this goes back to the whole, like, worldview of things, or mindset of things. Like, some people as heathens don't see there being any orthodoxy in heathens, and others do, and orthopraxy. These are pretty important topics to talk about too. I've talked about them a bit, but there are definitely, I guess, arguments to both sides. The orthodoxic or the orthopraxic ones are going to think that that's it, and it's, if you're gonna be a heathen, then this is the way you got to do it, and if you're not, then if you don't, then you're not. Which can deter a lot of newcomers, especially folks that are trying to learn and come into that way. It can be a deterrent. Got another Facebook comment here from Unk Heathen. What's up, Unk? He says, "Hail, Jesse, Uncle Heathen here. Just wanted to say thank you. Your words on Midgard Musings lit the path for me when I was just finding my way, and I've learned a lot about honoring the old gods from you. Appreciate all you do. Hail and thank you." I appreciate that, Unc. Good to see you here, and yeah, I hope you stick around and continue to see what we do here. I appreciate that, man. Very very kind words. I'm glad to have been a sort of um, jumping off point for you. That's really humbling. So it's good to have you here. Thank you. Let's see. David Klin says that one thing I did for myself this year is get healthy. This goes back to taking care of ourselves and making time for ourselves and making ourselves a priority. So David says that one thing he did for himself this year is to get healthy. Lost 35 pounds, 5 inches on his waist, feeling better and more connected than ever. First of all, David, congratulations. I know what it's like to struggle with weight gain, weight loss. Especially as we get older. Some people have a higher metabolism. They don't have as big of a problem maintaining their weight. But I've noticed that as I've gotten older, I can't, my metabolism isn't the same as it was when I was in my 20s. I could eat, not gain an ounce. Plus, I was, working out and working a physical job. You know what I mean? So I was burning the calories more than what I was consuming, but I was still, my parents, one of the things that they used to call me or say about me was that I had a hollow leg. They're like, where does he put it all? But you're right, David. Taking care of ourselves physically, it has a direct connection to our overall health. You will feel not just physically better, but you will feel emotionally, spiritually, mentally better when you start really paying attention to the type of substances you put in your body, the way you take care of yourself as a being, right? Whether it's, going on walks, working out, doing push-ups, whatever, you got to think, our ancestors, they worked for everything that they had. There was no sit and call a pizza in, or order Uber Eats on an app, or even, open a refrigerator and make a sandwich, not all that long ago. If you wanted to eat, you had to work for it. You had to hunt it, grow it, trap it, fish it. You had to do something. And our society has grown so far away from that it's it's no wonder so many of us are struggling with that. So, but good on you, David, and that's very inspiring. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, John says that is a win. Exactly. Making time, caring, taking care of yourself. We can't be there and show up for others if we can't show up for ourselves. Louder for those in the back, John. That's what I'm talking about. You can't be there for others and show up. You can't pick up somebody off the ground if you yourself are laying down, in a ditch. There's a pretty common. My dog is scratching herself, and she's like, it's knocking on the door, and it's hilarious. It sounds like she's knocking. No, you have to book an interview with me on my website, please, and thank you. Anyway, but to John's point, you can't be there and show up for others if we can't show up for ourselves. There's a pretty popular thing in a parable, and this is Christianity, but that parable of you can't pull the mote out of your brother's eye if you have a beam in your own. You can't help somebody else if you're fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Just to be like blunt about it. And it's a philosophy. It's a teaching. It's something that doesn't. You can't bottleneck it into just Christianity. Sure, it's a thing that got mentioned in the Christian Bible, but I think it's worth leveraging into our own beliefs. It's you can't pick somebody else up if you yourself are down in a ditch. Like John says, you can't be there for others and show up for others if you can't show up for yourself. So I don't want to take away from that from you, John, but man, what a very great way of making that distinction. So thank you. Crushing Nihilism as have you read Stephen Brink's paper on the uniformity of Norse religion? I have not, and I'm not familiar with who Stephen Brink is. It's not a name that I've come across. Doesn't mean anything inherently, but I'll definitely check it out. I'm always interested in hearing what people are reading these days or researching these days. So Stephen Brink, I will take note of that and look into it, and it might be something that gets used for something on a future podcast. Michael Thacker says, lately I've taken to a cigar an evening on the front porch. We're down 4 people at work, which means extra stores for everyone. You work at a soda company, so you're doing all of that. Yeah, and that's that's great. I have to take care of this. Go lay down somewhere. Worrying me to death over here with that knocking. She's scratching herself, and it's like knocking on the door. Anyway, yeah. A nice, and that's great. That's a great way to wind down and kind of take your mind off of the stress of things. But I get it. You've got all of that in the moment, and you're thinking about it later. It's tough. I get it. You're thinking about later on, like, we're down 4 people. I got to wake up tomorrow and do all this extra stuff, and it's, rinse and repeat, and the cycle continues. I can totally relate to that. I think one of the things that has helped me when it comes to this work-life balance, you know what I'm saying? One of the things that has aided me in not getting caught up in that is living in the moment. All right, this is what I got to do today. Don't worry about what's going to be tomorrow. It may not be here, or I may not be here for it. I'll worry about it when I get there. I'm not going to be oblivious or ignorant to planning and being prepared. And I'm also not going to let this is a conscious thing, man. Like this takes work. This takes real work. This takes inner work. This takes some shadow work, if you want to call it that. To sit with yourself and realize I am not going to let these things, these unknown things, the future, worry me. Because you know what the future is? That's what we call anxiety. I'm not a professional psychologist, psychiatrist, mental health person. I don't have any formal training in this field. I just know that when we worry about things that haven't yet happened, that's what anxiety is. You're thinking about it too much. You're worrying about something that doesn't even exist. It hasn't manifested yet. That truckload of soda that's going to where the hell ever tomorrow, you're not in tomorrow. I mean, all of these reports that I have to run for this client, next week. Well, I'm not there yet. I'm here now. I finished what I had to do today, and that thing is not, I'm not letting it worry me. I will deal with it when I get there. And I know that it will be there when I get there, if I get there, whatever. I'm not worried about it, though. I'll deal with it when I get there. And honestly, that's one of the toughest things to really embrace, because we have so much on our plates, especially as men. Like, we have so much that we ponder about, that we have, we take on a lot as providers. We carry the weight of the world, of our own worlds, on our shoulders, and we feel like it has to be us. We have to do it alone. We have to do it. Nobody else is going to do it for us, and that's, man, that has been the downfall of so many men, so many good people, not just men, but I mean, I would just maybe just as an edification for you there, Michael. I mean, it's don't worry about it. And I listen, I'm used to hearing responses of when I say stuff like that. Some people really don't want to hear that. I'll get responses of such things as like, you can't say that. You can't just tell me to not worry about it. It's not that easy. It's not that simple. Why not? I mean, nobody's the same. We're not the same. I realize that everybody is going through their own things. Some people have way more mental hurdles to go through in their life, and that plague them, and that they struggle with. But if you sit in the moment, again, be present, sit in the moment, and think about it, and just realize, why not? Why isn't it that simple? Well, it's not that simple because I'm making it that way. I'm complicating it. The reality of it is what it is. Your perception, the way you perceive the thing, is what makes you anxious, or makes you worry, or this or that, right? So inherently, the reality of it is what it is. The way you feel about it doesn't change what it is, and that's a tough thing for some people to accept. Adam says you can't help others when you yourself are broken. It's another good point, Adam. Thank you for sharing that too. That's another good way of putting it. You have to mend the wounds, and it's, have a good night to you too, there, John. Just I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, man. Proud of you too. Thank you for being in my life, and thank you for showing up to the show tonight. But what was I going to say is, mending the wounds, and that's an ongoing process. You know what I mean? Like, just because you are wounded, mending those wounds, it doesn't take away from the fact of what had happened. You're still going through that healing. You're still going through those motions of healing. It doesn't erase what had happened that caused it. But tending to it and being present with it, and actually sitting with those wounds and learning everything you can from them, that is part of the healing process. That is part of the work. Take it one day at a time, like Adam says. The gods will show us what we need and have to do tomorrow. Things will provide for themselves, right? Worry not for the tomorrow. It is sufficient. There are sufficient things to worry about that the tomorrow worries for itself, and there's plenty of things going on today that need to be addressed, right? There's plenty of things to be cared for here and now, present, that require your attention. So take it, as he says, one day at a time. The gods, your ancestors, spirit, whatever name you want to put to that, is going to be there when the next thing comes. Right, Crushing Nihilism, continuing on here, says, for those struggling with anxiety, I would check your diet first. Here we go. Great follow-up to what David Klen was saying. A lot of times food has mental effects. 100% accurate, true, yes. And if it's not food related, then get a regular banishing practice. I'll let you all in a little bit on just something that I do, some work that I do. It's a bit of a individual cultic practice, right? It's my own hearth cult, so I'm not suggesting this for you to now adopt it. But if it inspires and you want to maybe consider this, then fine. I mean, it's fine. So anyway, what I regularly do in my spatial areas, my house, is I burn certain things, certain resins, and which, by the way, certain resin smokes, like for example, frankincense, and benzoin and myrrh. These don't just smell good when they burn. The actual resin rocks, when you put them on like a charcoal censer or something, right? They don't just smell good. They actually have a bit of a mildly psychoactive components to it. Maybe not psychoactive is probably not the right term for it, but it's the closest thing I can think of. Like breathing in the smoke of frankincense can actually calm your mind. You know what I mean? And it's no wonder then that this particular resin is burned in cathedrals and stuff during mass, you know what I mean? Or is used in other cultures for ceremonial purposes. It has a calming effect. It calms your mind, it calms your heart, it calms your spirit. You know what I mean? So, for example, like there are regular things that I do to keep the spatial areas of my home and my land and the property around my space, for my wife and I, to keep it welcoming, to keep it clean, both physically and spiritually. So the smoke is an offering to the spirits of, we welcome you, but it also is a shield. It is a ward. It is a banishing of baleful wights, of those who would wish to invade or do harm. And it works. It has worked for me when done with the right, purpose behind it. It is definitely working. So to your point, to Crushing Nihilism's comment here, I 100% agree, right? Don't go just jump into the pool of woo-woo magic stuff and think that that's going to solve all your problems. Take care of your physical self. Change your diet. Look at what you're eating or consuming, then putting into you that could be having a negative effect, and adjust that accordingly, right? Make those course corrections. And in tandem, figure out your spirituality practices and maybe work towards creating a wholesome environment, a wholesome space for benevolence, for benevolent spirits, for the wights that inhabit the space around you, that are there for your good and coexist peacefully, and work to banish the baleful ones. All right, Christopher Miller says that the unwise man is awake all night worrying about everything. He's fatigued when the morning comes and his problems remain unsolved, which is the 23rd stanza of the Havamal. Thanks for the quote there, Chris. It's funny that you mentioned that. I've talked about this stanza. I've mentioned it. I've referenced it many times to people, and I was thinking about it kind of in the back of my head, but I just couldn't break train of thought on what I was thinking. So I'm glad you brought it up, and it speaks for itself. It is a very timely thing to mention here, but it is so true. I can't add really much to anything on that. So thank you. All right, David, heading out. Have a great evening. Hope to meet you in person soon. We got to figure something out, David. I mean, I was actually thinking about you about a month or so ago. I had to visit a dear friend of mine at the Murray Regional Medical Center. He had been admitted to the hospital, and he's okay now. He's back home in Lewisburg, but he had been moved out there to Murray County, and I was like, man, here I am, under these circumstances. I don't have time to hit somebody up just randomly, but you were on my mind. So we gotta coordinate something. We gotta figure something out. All right, Adam says, yeah, say it out loud. Say it out loud. Say my name, say my name. Anyway, what am I drinking on tonight there? I am drinking whiskey. Whiskey, as Stewie Griffin would say. Will Wheaton. It is just a blended Scotch. Clan McGregor, I think, or it might be. Oh no, it's Black Velvet. Sorry, Black Velvet, if you please. Yeah, I know it ain't top shelf. It ain't fancy, but neither am I. I'm a baddie on a budget. It's a good Scotch. Listen, I do enjoy good Scotch, and I enjoy not so great. I don't I'm not a lush. I don't just buy the cheapest thing off the shelf, but Clan McGregor is not top shelf. It is a blended Scotch. Black Velvet's a blended whiskey. It's but it gets the job done, and I enjoy it. I'm not bougie. I don't have to have a single malt every night. Not sharing with the group. Hey man, you were invited. Let me just say, you got the invite to come out here tomorrow, and you had other obligations. But for everybody that's here that feels like I'm not sharing, here's to you. Here, drink my transparent glass of whiskey, because I have a background that's not. Here you go. Do this. Boom. Oh. I'm gone now. Boom. There I am again. Okay. Skull, sluncha, post. Na zdrowie. I don't know how many different languages do you know how to say cheers or to your health. That was Old Norse. That was Gaelic, I think, maybe, and it was German, and it was Russian. I don't know. Does anybody else know any other ways to say, like cheers or to your health in another language? There's this term in Japanese that I hear people say, like when they eat itadakimasu. I don't know if that's something like to your health. I don't know. What we got here? Oh, Swedish. Well, I'm probably gonna butcher this. I'm gonna try my best. Oh, Serbian. What the heck? I can't read. Serbian. Yeah. Why is there an umlaut? Is that an umlaut? What is that? What is that? Over the Z. Živeli? Živeli? Maybe? All right. That I am totally guessing. Živeli. I don't know. I'm almost sound like it. Živeli. Oh, that's Italian too. What is it in Italian? Not buon appetito. That's like about to eat. Mangia. No, that's buon appetito. Yeah, to your appetite. But what they say? God, what do they say? I should know this. I'm like my grandfather, my bop. I'm sorry. He Bacigalupo over here can't remember how to say basic things in Italian. He was from Italy, not from Italy, but his parents were from Italy. He was born here. The Potenzas, which Potenza, right? That's an Italian name. It's also a city in Italy. Oh, okay, I got it right, Chris. Cool. Hey, I was totally shooting from the hip on that one. But okay, so in Serbian, Živeli. Salute. What the hell? How did that escape me? Salute. Yeah, salute is the Italian. There we go. And Chris just right as I said it. Yeah, salute. To health. Yeah. What's up, Nick? Wait a sec. Buongiorno? Why did I read that in Lieutenant Aldo the Apache's voice from Inglourious Bastards? When you said that. I speak the most Italian. Buongiorno. Good to see you, Nick, though. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for showing up. Kampai, according to Michael Thacker, is the Japanese phrase. Itadakimasu is just the saying before eating. Oh, you were a huge weeb in high school. Okay. Well, thank you for the education. So, kampai. Japanese phrase for in itadakimasu is the before you eat. Okay. So it's kind of like the Italian way of going bon appetito or mangia. E ora si mangia is what they say. And now we eat. Bon appetito. But yeah. So all of it. Cheers to your health. To life. L'chaim. I think that's maybe Hebrew or Yiddish. I don't know. Speaking of Hebrew, did you guys see that Spaceballs is coming back for a sequel after 40 years? Mel Brooks is supposed to be in it. The Schwartz returns. If they don't call it that, or the Return of the Schwartz, if they don't call it that, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm still going to watch it, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll be all right. I'm definitely going to watch it because and Rick Moranis, I think, is supposed to be coming back for that too. So, gonna take a quick short break. Give everybody a chance here to kind of stretch their legs. Dude, I can't believe. Listen, I was. It's wild. Matthew Sarah is here. Matthew, what's up, man? I was literally just about to take a break, and I was going to play your song, your music video for Runetal, for the break, because we've been streaming now for an hour and 15 minutes. And it's, about time to kind of just get up, stretch our legs, make sure that we're not, sitting here vegging out. Yeah, saw me on. That's right. I'm on, as I say, it's on like Donkey Kong here, in the thing. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Matthew Serra is actually the composer, the mastermind behind this song that you're about to hear. We collaborated in a very minor, in a way. He had asked for some visuals to go along with this. To go along with this song that he wrote. Yeah, Mel Brooks is 98. Yeah, he'll be he would be, I think they're saying that it's supposed to be released in like 2 years. So hopefully they've already filmed it, because he'd be like 102 or 100 years old or something like that by the time it releases. So yes, how weird indeed, Matthew Serra, that we're going to play this song. When we come back, I will catch up on some more comments. Thank you all for being here. Just take a break. I'm not going anywhere. We'll come back and we will revisit some of the comments. But again, this song by Matthew Serra is called Runetal. It's going to have some lyrics and stuff on the screen, but I think it's a really beautiful song. So enjoy. Thank you all for being here. We'll be right back after this. So stay tuned. All right, folks, welcome back. Hope you all enjoyed that. I love that song. I love the composition of it. I love what Matthew did with the lyre harp, I guess, or if I'm lyre. Um, so great job, Matt, and thank you for presenting that to the world and sharing it. And hope you all enjoyed it. Crushing Nihilisms here says shout out to Iric and Scott. Iric Westcoat and Scott Shell, for those of you who don't know. Iric also has the Scaldic Eagle is his online, I guess, moniker or what he goes by. So the Scaldic Eagle, Iric Westcoat. I've had him on the show before last season, and I've had Scott on the show a couple of times. They were actually on an episode with me together when I had Iric on. I got Scott on too as well, and they're both amazing gentlemen, very knowledgeable, rune masters of their own, masters of the Rune Guild, or at least I know Scott is. I don't want to speak out of turn. I think Iric is a master of the Rune Guild. If he's not, it would surprise me. But anyway, check him out, the Scaldic Eagle, scaldicigeagle.com. He's on, I think, on Instagram, maybe Facebook, and maybe YouTube. Yeah, pretty sure he's on all three. And then Scott has a YouTube channel, but if you just go on YouTube and search for Scott Shell, he has a YouTube channel. It's a bit, the name of it is something to do with Germanic heathenry. But yeah, very knowledgeable. So check him out. Michael Thacker, once again, hello, sir, says, got to drop out of here. That's okay. Got to be at work at 4 tomorrow. Take care of yourself, Michael. Remember, make time for yourself, and be safe out there with all the sodas. Hope you enjoyed the song. All right, brother Adam. Great to see you. Thank you. Appreciate the support. Just keep up the great work. I'm doing my best, sir, and you do as well. You know, I know you're doing a lot of good for the community with what you do. I'm proud of you. Keep it up. Christopher Miller, yes, wonderful work indeed. Glad you all enjoyed it. Yeah, you're welcome, Matt. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the atmosphere of the art. He said loves the atmosphere that you created with the art. We tried to, Matthew was looking for something that kind of represented the world tree, Yggdrasil. And we had tossed around a couple ideas, and we kind of landed on, or he did land on something, nothing too elaborate, nothing too, crazy, simple, but sometimes simple is best. So just the atmosphere that kind of misty cosmic tree kind of puts you in a mindset, and that's like an interesting kind of touch to one of the things that we talked earlier about before when the stream was just starting out, talking about ritual and approaching ritual in the right mindset. Music is a great way to help achieve a healthy altered state of consciousness. Rhythm and sound are definitely tools that can be imparted to change your perception of profane space. You can almost be entranced, or not almost. You can become entranced through sound and through rhythm. This is why so many cultures that have the shamanic practices amongst it have the implementation and the use of the drum. Certain other cultures that you implement that singing, throat singing and certain tones, certain hertz are attained through that sound, and that allows for the mind to sort of don't want to say like disconnect from itself, but to be transported or transferred into that ritual state of mind. You know what I mean? To kind of be very present in the ritual state. And so, like for I was talking earlier about when people come to ritual and they're inebriated, they went too far. You know, they got lost in the sauce. They went hard in the paint, as the saying goes. You know that that abuse of substances, you know, can really ruin things, and it's not nice to witness. It's not good to be around. It tarnishes the space. So I love it when, you know, we have people that are creators themselves, whether, you know, it's artisans, craftspeople. You know, Matthew with his music and that talent. You know, that is a craft, and crafting that art and sharing it with the world. This is a really healthy and good way to um, help people, you know, get into that state of mind. It's, you know, meditation, relaxation. You know, Michael, if you catch this afterwards or later or some other time, you know, you talked earlier about how smoking a cigar is like kind of your downtime. You're winding down. You're smoking a cigar, and that gives you moments to contemplate and to think, and to just be present with yourself. You know, some good music is another great way. You know, like preaching to the choir, I'm sure, but it's don't forget it. You know, some of that. Sometimes the simple things are what we forget. You know, we forget what it's like to engage with the things that gave us joy and gave us fulfillment when we were children. Even, you know, the things that made us happy, the things that gave us joy, the way we played. You know, um, I was talking to this fella I know. We're just kind of like online friends or whatever, acquaintances, and you know, he sent me this picture of these two bobcats. It was like, I guess, a mother and her cub, and they were like standing up on. It was obviously, you know, an in motion kind of photograph. You know, but they were kind of standing up on their hind paws with their front paws kind of up and over them, facing each other, and it almost looked like they were dancing. You know, like they were in this sort of freeze frame movement of dance. Um, but it looked like, you know, you could say that, I took it as they were playing. You know, there was play happening that was captured there, and I thought, man, what a great reminder for all of us to see something like that, and to go, you know, when was the last time we played? You know, it's because as we grow older and as we mature, um, games and play is something that sometimes gets forgotten about, and it gets pushed aside and it gets pushed back, you know. And this particular fellow, when he sent me and I said that thing about play, he said, you know, I don't even know how to play. And I said, yeah, you do. Maybe he didn't say that exactly. He said, but I've forgotten, you know. um, I've gotten in the way that I've grown and the way that I've matured and this and that, you know. It was almost like he was saying he had forgotten how to play. And I thought, man, it's in you, you know, like it's there. You just have to reconnect with that inner child, that playfulness. And how good is that to be reminded of? We learned so much as children during play. You know, we learned how to respond to situations. We learned, you know, skills. You know, we learned, but and then other times it was just the carefree moment to not be responsible for anything important, you know, and how much of even that, as we grow older and as we become adults and as we, you know, establish our lives with whether it's ourselves, with our, you know, our loved ones, our families, our relationships with people, um, we become so wrapped up in the hustle, in the grind, you know. Sometimes we just need to play. Sometimes we need that carefree moment to just be playful. Um, I've been guilty of getting kind of like agitated, at times when like my wife wants to poke fun or play or whatever, and it's like, stop annoying me, quit, you know. And I'm like, well, this is play, like, look, that's let's rethink this. Like let's why am I so annoyed at this playfulness? Stop being so serious. Um, so yeah, maybe folks, that's another thing to take away as we've been talking tonight about taking care of ourselves, making time for ourselves. Don't forget that one of the things that is good for us to do in our adulthood is to find the sense of play in our lives and to be playful. Not to be, complacent and forget about our responsibilities and become, again, it's a balance. Um, but that's just it. You have to balance it. It has to be there in order for you to balance it. And don't worry about the way you look or how oh, this is silly, this is ridiculous. No, why is it ridiculous? Why is it silly? So what if it's silly? So what if it's ridiculous? Is it hurting anybody? Is it making you feel good? Is it, making you laugh, smile? Those are good things for ourselves to experience. It's kind of like medicine in a way, Um, there's that old saying, like, laughter is the best medicine. Well, it's the saying is because it's true. All right. When you're laughing, you're in a good mood, right? It makes you feel good. So I don't know, just go play, go outside, dance, um, find something for you to be lighthearted about. So, but yeah, I think that pretty well. Yeah, that is the spice of life, right, Matthew? Variety is the spice of life. If I can go to the store and pick up a variety pack of something up instead of just the sometimes I want the one thing, but really I want some choices. You know what I mean? So yeah, be playful. Variety is the spice of life. Yeah, and like you say, do it while you can. One day, things are gonna slow down. I'm seeing it firsthand, and I've experienced it not really directly with my own mom and dad, but I'm seeing the natural progression of our lifespan with people around me. I can't do half the things that I used to be able to do in the way that I used to be able to do them when I was a kid. You know, um, and I just turned 40, and I'm sure that I won't be able to do the things that I can do now when I'm, you know, 60 or whatever, make it that far, however long. But like you say, live in the moment, do it while you can, because you live long enough, and one day you won't be able to. Those functions won't. The functions won't function. you know. But so I think that's what we'll wrap it up on. Don't have any underlying comments anymore. So I do appreciate everybody being here. Those of you that have stuck around for the last hour and a half, a little bit over. This is really nice. Good way to connect with people. I hope you've all had a good night. And yeah, just as a last thing, if you need to go back and look through the comments, or just go to my Linktree link. The Linktree link has my mother's-in-law GoFundMe posted at the very top. So when you go to my Linktree link, the very first thing that you'll see at the top is the GoFundMe for my mother-in-law. It's to raise money so that way the expenses for getting all of her medical equipment and enhancements to her living, the wheelchair ramp, the Hoyer lift, the medical chair, the sit to stand chair, all the things that the family is coming together to get to be able to recover financially from that. And if you want to help, it's in that GoFundMe. So just for everybody's awareness, if you didn't know about that, there it is. And at the very least, share it around. As always, you don't have to feel obligated. People have got a lot of other things going on in their lives, but I did want to make sure that I was mentioning it here on my platform with all of you, to give it the most visibility. And we've gotten several donations from a lot of people, very generous, to help out with that. So if you've done that already, thank you very much for your generosity. The family appreciates it. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you. I appreciate everybody coming in here that did tonight. Some brothers of mine, Adam, brother, I appreciate you taking time out of your night. A good friend of mine, John Deason, for showing up. Matthew, Sarah, I recognize a lot of names and stuff that came across the screen. Michael Thacker, David Klenn, Crushing Nihilism, Nick Daniel, Chris Miller. Some new faces, or some new names that have just kind of joined the Midgard Musings community. I think we got Christy. We got what was it? I think her name was Renita. So we had people in the UK. We had people in Texas. Chrissy, I think, was the one in the UK. So everybody, man, like just a whole great group of people that tuned in tonight. I thank all of you for being here and for showing your support. And just again, reminder, these are monthly. We do these things once a month. So just follow me on my social media so that way you know when I'm doing it. I usually try to announce the events a week or two at least in advance, so that way you can plan accordingly if you want to be here and hear what we're talking about. But the nice thing about it is that if you don't make it for the live stream, this will go up on the next Random Heathen Ramblings podcast. So you'll be able to re-watch it there on Patreon if you join at the Carl tier for $1, or you can listen on Spotify. So that's all I'm going to talk about right now. That's repeating a lot of everything that I've already said. But thank you all for being here tonight. Appreciate all of your support. I had fun. Be safe out here, folks. The world's a crazy place. There's a lot of wild things going on across the world. So be mindful, be at peace, and be safe. So thank you all for being here for the live stream, and thank you for your ongoing and constant support with Midgard Musings and the Random Heathen Ramblings podcast. Until we see each other again, may the gods continue to notice you, and may your ancestors smile upon you. We'll see you in the next one.